And a new report says Russia may be providing intel to Iran to hit U.S. bases. Iowa Congressman Nunn is an Air Force veteran who served our country for almost 2 decades as an airborne intelligence officer. He flew recon missions off the coast of Russia and China and previously served as director of cybersecurity at the White House's National Security Council, and he joins us now. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us on this very important topic. So, with these reports that Russia is helping Iran with locations of U.S. Locations of U.S. People and equipment, how significant is that?
Well, Charlie, as a combat aviator who has flown recon missions off the coast of both Russia and Iran, we know that this access between Tehran and Moscow is real. And working counterintelligence operations, we can see how dangerous these type of information sharing arrangements become when Iran has the capability to strike. They are GPS-related drones, as was just made evident in the killing of 6 folks from my district. I'm going to be at their funeral later today. The distinguished remains returned to Dover Airfield. But we also know this, that when Russia engages, they have overhead capability to be able to provide direct targeting information, whether that's a U.S. ship in the Persian Gulf, whether it's U.S. forces on the ground in allied areas like Al Udeid Air Base, where I flew operations out of. And this type of information sharing results in lethal kinetic action by the Iranians, whether it's the Iranian drones, whether it's the IRGC, or whether it's through the terrorism groups that Iran has sponsored to be able to take direct action against U.S. forces in the region. It's one of the reasons that I'm leading both the maximum pressure campaign sanctions against Iran, something that had overwhelming support this summer, as well as the Peace Act, which is a Peace Through Strength initiative to empower President Trump to hold Russia accountable for exactly these kind of threats against U.S. forces and stop Russia from sharing overhead intelligence that can put U.S. forces in harm's way.
So one of the things that's kind of interesting is Russia has sort of played 2 sides of this. They've declined to get directly involved, or at least openly involved, with Iran, even though Iran has done everything to try to support Russia over the past couple of years. What is the game that Russia is playing right now? And are they stronger because of this, what we're doing in Iran right now, or are they weaker?
I believe that they're weaker, and every moment that they continue to engage with the failing Iranian regime, as U.S. forces have already depleted their ability to take strikes against the U.S. by nearly 90%, going after those launchers, those capabilities that Iran has domestically to produce drones, Russia finds themselves supporting a failing ally at this point. And Russia's engagement here not only bleeds out what Russia has, but it also puts them in the crosshairs of the United States if they continue to move in this direction. Look, here's the reality. Iran has been providing drones for Russia in their wars, in Eastern Europe for years now, and the very fact that they believe handing off intelligence is a way to be able to acquire more of these resources, unfortunately, tethers them directly to a conflict that could bring the United States closer to not only moving, forward sanctions that I'm leading, but also is going to put our forces on edge as to how the Russians are engaging and could potentially widen the scale of event. We don't want to see that happen.
Right.
I'd like to see the Russians step back from this. And Charlie, I want to really highlight here that there's a toll that comes from this. Earlier this week, we lost 6 great Americans in Kuwait. They were all based out of Fort Des Moines in my district. 2 of those incredible soldiers are Iowa's own. Sergeant Declan Cody was a young man. He was 20 years old. He went to the same college I went to. He was an Eagle Scout. He was a kid who was building furniture for homeless shelters, but he was an IT specialist. He saw firsthand the importance that, not only defending the nation meant, but he had a very bright future ahead of him on what he was going to be able to do in this area. The other one from my area, Waukee, is a major. His name is Jeffrey O'Brien. He worked at Pro Circular in Iowa as a specialist here working in high tech. These are the types of young men who sacrificed for our country. I've got 9 more in a hospital in Germany. Their families are worried about them. This type of precision targeting needs to be stopped because this is the kind of stuff that can kill Americans out in the field very directly. The Iranians don't have capabilities to be able to do this alone. I want to make sure that there's no enemy who's aiding and abetting the killing of Americans as we have so many brave young men and women deployed overseas right now.
What an extraordinary ceremony that you'll be going to. Have you ever been to one of these ceremonies before?
Well, Charlie, this is very tragic. This will be the second time I'm going to it in just as many months. We lost two great Iowans in December due to a terrorist strike, also in CENTCOM. These were two staff sergeants, Nate and Howard. I had their families come join me at the State of the Union. Iowa has suffered a disproportionate, catastrophic loss here at home, with 4 of our own sons dying in the Middle East, largely as a direct result of the type of extremism that has crippled the Middle East for 47 years under the Iranian regime, and the extremism that has taken lives of Americans. But I know this much is true. For those families who will be joining at Dover Airfield in the Dignified remain receival, they put themselves before country. Like myself, only 1% of Americans puts that uniform on, runs into the fight so that all of us here in the United States can be safe. You know, not only God bless them and God bless our troops still serving, but I want to give a particular heartfelt appreciation for the families who have had to endure this sacrifice so that their sons, their husbands, this community knows that they're safer under the protection that these incredible warriors have provided for all of us.
Well, each of those warriors has the gratitude of the entire country, and as does the state of Iowa. And we thank you, Congressman, for joining us this morning and talking about all this.